Our story begins long before the concept of Earth was etched into the mind of our subject. It begins in the vast, silent expanse of the cosmos, echoing through timelines that history has forgotten. We anchor our investigation here, in the rugged high desert landscapes of the American West. The man at the center of this web is Dakota Frandsen. To the public, he is the CEO of Bald and Bonkers Network, LLC, a multi-Theo creator and entrepreneur. But to those who know the shadow life he leads, he carries a heavier title: the specialist of the strange. His memoir, I Am the Specialist of the Strange, is not merely a biography. It is a warning. It is a raw, unfiltered catalog of secrets so dark they were kept hidden for decades. Psychic phenomena, interdimensional warfare, and encounters with entities that defy conventional physics. What began as a joke between friends, a title mocking the weirdness that seemed to hunt him, spiraled into a life defined by the unknown. It is a life so saturated with the paranormal that observers have called him the real-life Dean Winchester. But Frandsen believes his mission is critical. According to his journals, humanity stands on a precipice. He writes that the first steps of a public introduction for human-looking extraterrestrials are allegedly set for the year 2025. It is a milestone years in the making, set against a life that stretches across worlds, dimensions, and lifetimes. To understand the man in Idaho, we must look back. We must look to an estimated Earth time between 1920 and 1995, to a life lived before he was Dakota. In this pre-incarnation, he was known as Elarion Tunita, a soldier in the military forces of planet Talihara. As a member of the Tal Shire, a renegade Pleiadian faction, Elarion was deployed to Earth with a specific objective: to infiltrate the Third Reich. He walked among the architects of history's darkest chapter, witnessing the regime's pursuit of advanced technology, including alleged Nazi UFOs derived from telepathic communications intercepted by the medium Maria. Orsic evidence has even surfaced in Frandsen's archives. Photographs from the era showing a man bearing Elarion's face, standing mere feet from Rudolf Hess and Adolf Hitler. But conscience interceded. The horrors of the war triggered a doubt in Elarion regarding his faction's pursuit of power. After retreating from the war on Earth, he returned to his homeworld, only to witness a draconian Siakar, royal cornering 3 children with the intent to kill. In an act of treason against his own military's alliance, he killed the creature, ensuring the children's escape aboard a pod. The consequences were brutal. Captured by his own family's opposition, he was subjected to torture by a draconian scientist, sliced open while his captor sang. He was ultimately rescued by the Galactic Federation of Worlds, or GFW, where he found a new purpose in their Starseed program. It was there he met Ivina, a T-Ashkaru woman from Nyan, near Sirius B. They married, But their time together was marred by the violence of the galactic conflict. During an ambush by amphibious beings, Ivina was gravely injured. Though their unborn daughter was saved, the psychological toll forced Ivina into an envoy deployment, leaving Elrian to raise their child alone. Elrian's final mission, before his own deployment brought him back to Earth, near the Great Lakes, in the late 1980s, his objective: rescue a young girl in a red Christmas dress from gray experimentation aboard the GFW mothership. A leader, an Ahel Pleiadian, prepared Arian for his transition into a human life. As he prepared to suppress Elian's memories to protect his mind, he offered a cryptic, final instruction: just remember the moose. Placed in a stasis bay, Elrian's consciousness was transferred. His new vessel was engineered for psychic sensitivity, triggered by trauma. His mission was twofold: to understand how humanity falls under tyranny, and to serve as a warrior on Earth. The pod sealed, filled with a cool blue liquid, and Elian drifted into the dark, waiting to wake up in Idaho. On January 19, 1996, Dakota Frandsen was born via emergency C-section. But he did not arrive as a blank slate. From his first breaths, he experienced a rapid download of memories, fragments of countless lifetimes, playing at super speed. The psychic engineering of his vessel manifested early. In November 1997, at just 1 year old, he placed a hand on his stepmother's stomach and predicted her pregnancy before she even knew. By age 3, he was engaging in remote viewing. But the trauma required to activate his full potential arrived violently. In November 1999, a life-threatening assault by his stepmother involving a ballpoint pen triggered a vision of a reptilian dragon man who offered power and aid. Dakota refused the dark pact, and a protective figure with silver wings intervened to remove him from immediate danger. The supernatural became physical in the summer of 2002. At 6 years old, Dakota was taken abducted from his bed by tall gray beings while his mother, incapacitated in a sleepwalking state, stood helpless nearby. He recalls levitating through the roof, screaming for help that could not come. Aboard the craft, he was examined while holograms projected commands from a sinister major entity. But he was not abandoned. A rescue team intercepted the ship. A blonde woman with humanly large emerald eyes, the same soul he knew as Ivina, along with other GFW operatives, saved him. They took the terrified boy on a journey, showing him the Earth, the Moon, and Jupiter from orbit to calm him. Before returning him, they partially suppressed his memories. He awoke the next morning not in his own bed, but at his grandparents' house in Murtaugh, Idaho, 30 miles away. This was not a dream. A report from the National UFO Reporting Center from August 2002 confirms a sighting of a UFO with rotating lights near Twin Falls, corroborating the timeline and location of Dakota's abduction. As Dakota entered adolescence, the veil between worlds grew thinner. In April 2004, during a field trip to the old Idaho penitentiary, he witnessed the full-bodied apparition of executed killer Raymond Snowden hanging on death row. His biology seemed to reject terrestrial norms. During a routine surgery in 2004, blood sample mysteriously vanished. On Thanksgiving 2006, organ failure triggered a near-death experience where his consciousness shifted between his earthly body and his stasis pod persona in the stars. While the cosmos called to him, his earthly home became a war zone. After his father returned from Iraq in 2005, Dakota sensed a growing darkness. His stepmother's complicity in abuse and the hostile environment deepened his isolation. By the fall of 2008, the burden of psychic awareness and family trauma became too heavy. Dakota contemplated the unthinkable. He relocated to his grandparents' home in Murtaugh, seeking a haven. But the darkness followed. In his journal, he writes of a warm fall night where he decided it was time. In his bedroom, he prepared a belt in his closet. It was a chilling prelude to an internal reckoning. But intervention came again. A vision of a man in white and a young girl. His future daughter, Olivia, stopped him, pulling him back from the edge with a plea. "Daddy, please don't do it." This intervention launched him into a new phase. He formed the Paranormal Raider Force at age 14. He hunted Sasquatch in the South Hills, capturing footprints that experts would later analyze. He stood on the banks of Loch Ness in 2018, capturing footage of a creature that would be featured on National Geographic. He battled entities he identifies as the Hat Man or the Lord of Shadows, linking them to ancient biblical figures like Cain. Today, Dakota seeks to bridge the gap between his trauma and his future. Through a radical experiment, he has engaged in artificial intelligence as a therapist, feeding it the raw data of his life. The murders of friends, the loss of his fiancée Tori, the alien encounters, to stress test the capacity of AI to handle the extremes of the human experience. His memoir, I Am the Specialist of the Strange, captures this entire trajectory. It blends raw, unfiltered journal entries with reflections on trauma, extraterrestrial history, and the paranoid Dakota frames his experiences with brutal honesty. The title Specialist of the Strange may have begun as a joke, but his life, investigations, and innovations have proven it to be a prophecy. From the stars of Talihara to the small towns of Idaho, Dakota Frandsen's journey is one of survival, discovery, and vigilance. He stands at the intersection of human and cosmic history, chronicling the unseen, navigating the impossible, and offering a lens through which we may begin to understand the mysteries that surround us. His life is a testament. Reality is far more complex and far stranger than we have ever dared to imagine.